Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the didnt podcast. Today, I have with me Aliyu Haidar Magaji and Ahmed Mioda.
Oh, good afternoon. My name is Aliyu Haidar Magaji, and I'm a guest on the didnt podcast channel.
Good day. My name is Ahmed Mioda, and I'm also a guest in didnt's podcast.
We are going to be discussing three important topics about agriculture, feminism, and who is to blame for the economy. So the first question I have here is about agriculture. We are going to go to the three topics, but how we are going to do this, we are going to answer 5 questions from each section, both in agriculture, feminism, and who is to blame for the economy. So the first question I have here in agriculture is agriculture still a viable path to wealth creation in modern times, especially for youth? You might start, Ali.
Absolutely. Because agriculture is one of the oldest professions, and it has been modernized together with civilization. When people hear agriculture, their first thought is farming. Farming is no longer the only viable option in agriculture. There are so many different enterprises and agribusinesses that are easy and cost efficient that will give you maximum profit. You can start selling seeds, not even talk less of farming. If you are not going to wait and farm for the coming weeks or the few months that it takes for plants to grow, you can sell seeds. You can do poultry farming. The broilers that everybody are doing, it takes just a month to cultivate them and start selling them commercially. So I think it is still a viable option. In the 1980s, 70% of the Nigerian economy was being held by agriculture. Even right now, we still have monuments to the granite pyramids that we had in Kano State. A lot of the old rich people, also, since you're asking about modern times, about youths, yes, you can indulge. You don't need, if they have fear of being cheated, if they are going on the farming routes, they can go into other businesses.
But don't you have something to say about the reason why agriculture is no longer taken seriously? Because people now, I think, especially youth, don't consider it a path to wealth because of the new technologies that have emerged, like cryptocurrency, trading, and other businesses.
Well, I think it's because of 2 problems. Just like you said, other businesses that seem faster and more profitable, and also the lack of education on that agriculture has been modernized. That agriculture is not as labor intensive as they believe it is. So many, you can use, even when you are farming and you are thinking, oh, weeding takes a lot of, applying of pesticide and herbicide and insecticide is taking too long. You can use drones these days. How many hectares of land your drone will finish in a few minutes or a few hours, depending on the speed and the intensity that you want.
Okay, so but let me ask you a question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how capital intensive is starting any agricultural investment for making maximum profit?
Well,
do you believe that agriculture is a capital intensive business?
No, depends on, agriculture is very simple. You determine how much capital you will need. I have a farm, it is 10 hectares. I choose the amount of hectares that I will cultivate. I will check my capital. Do I have the capital to cultivate all 10 hectares? Yes, fine. Then I will do it. My capital is only for 2 hectares. I will cultivate that 2 hectares. There are people that sell seedlings. They cultivate a nursery bed. You can do it, for people, for these days that the architecture of houses, you'll be having flat surfaces on your roof. You can have a bed nursery on the roof of your house and be selling seedlings. It can start as a hobby, and depending on the profits, if you are interested, you can make it into a business.
Okay, so Ahmed, how about you? Do you still think agriculture is a viable path to wealth, especially for youth?
Yeah, I do think so. I agree with majority of what he said, or if not all of what he said. It's a very important aspect. It's like you said, there are many branches of agriculture. It's not just
about
farming. It's not just about farming or poultry. There are many, and I believe with time we still get many branches coming out of agriculture. For example, agricultural engineering. It's just recent that we started using major equipment for agriculture. I believe it's very important. And you asked a question about, I think the cost effective and
Yeah, is it
capital. I don't believe it is. And even the labor part that you said that people are trying to get rich quick. They don't want, or if you think about, talk about agriculture, all people minds go to is like sometimes labor, hard work, and all these things.
But it's regarded as something that is archaic, something old, and it is something that intelligent people don't do. You know, like
it's for people of labor.
Yeah,
but
that don't have brains.
But it's not usually like that. Even in these modern days, everything has changed. If we can even talk about like seed breeding, there's this there are many genetically modified seeds nowadays, and like you don't need to stress yourself. These genetically modified seeds, they are resistant to pesticides. They are tolerant to herbicides. So all this is not a problem. Like the idea that you brought about drones, all this, like you need capital, you need care, and to bring out the drones and to take care of your plants and stuff. Once you have this genetically modified seed, all this is gone. You don't need to stress yourself on. It is.
Well, I will have to interject about the genetically modified seeds. The problem with genetically modified seed is it's like in alchemy before when they are trying to create the philosopher's stone. You know, you need a genetically modified seed normally has its strengths based on one thing that it's doing. I myself did my project on striga resistant cowpea. So striga is a type of noxious weed that attacks cowpeas. And in general, it attacks a lot of plants and everything, but I did my research on cowpea. So right now they are breeding a breed of seeds of cowpea that should be resistant to that striga, that if you plant them and they germinate, striga will not even be able to germinate near it. The thing is, when you are trying to create a seed that is resistant to it, you are foregoing a bit of your yield. So it will be the amount of yield it will produce will be lesser than normal cowpea seed. But a normal cowpea seed on average can be attacked when it's attacked by striga. The damages can be far more than the yield you are getting by the cowpea resistant system.
If you say that on average, those genetically modified seeds do not produce enough yield.
No, exactly. So my point is, you can have a genetically modified seed that will produce more yield, but it will be more susceptible to attacks.
So you have
the genetically modified seed.
Yes. Thank you. You can't have everything.
But I'm not.
You can't you can't eat your cake. You can't have your cake and eat it.
I get
That's
but I feel like that's a major leap. Like
you feel like your feelings don't matter. Based on facts.
I believe
on facts.
Okay, I believe that like we have to assume the future, right?
Of course.
I believe that's not majorly because like what you said, like based on your research, it's based on a specific aspect, right?
Yes.
It's not based on the nutrition of the plant, the disease
The
and
yield,
resistance and the habitat. It's not based on that. I'm talking based on purely farmers. Let's say farmers who want seed, buy seeds, plant them, and cultivate, harvest, and sell them. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that major.
Well,
and there are many research like that is ongoing, of course, on genetically modified seed. I'm not talking about that.
So the next question I have is about feminism. Is it possible to pursue gender equality without rejecting gender roles?
I don't believe it's possible to pursue gender equality without
rejecting gender roles.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible because like we all have our roles, both men and women. We're different. We're created different. Men are faster. Men are heavier. Men are stronger. Men are more logical. And women are more emotional. And they have their roles there is upon them. And it's not upon them. We're different. We're not the same. So our work will not always be the same. For example, like in many workstations, like the prisons or labor work, you see a lot of men. It's not like we repel women in the jobs. It's just that women don't go into those sectors and aspects. They know it's not suited for them because like they get into teaching. I mean, like there's a lot of important things that women do in our society. We're not going to deny that. Like when it comes to the family, emotional support, like for the family and the children and everything. And there's a lot of inventions done by humans. You can add even like the first compiler that was ever created. It was by a woman. It brings out the root of all this programming and everything. Even this frequency thing that happened, for that we got the Wi-Fi and GPS and all. It was all the inventions of women. So it's not like women are not important in the society. They are important. They are important, but they have their own roles, and we have everyone has their own roles. So the problem we have is like when women try to get into the roles of men, and when men try to get into the roles of women. That's when the problem occurs. Because naturally we are different.
So we're against our own
nature. Yeah, the problem. Yeah, definitely. Mostly women are trying to go against their nature. That's what they're doing, which is why we have a lot of problems in the society. So yeah, you can't deny that because we are two distinct beings. We're created differently. We can't have every aspect to be the same, both men and women. So
what about you, Ali?
Well, he's saying we can't have every aspect the same, and I agree with that. But he's also given example based on the workforce, on the labor force that he's saying. And he talked about like women having inventions and everything. In 1856, there was a woman, Eunice Newton Foote. She was the first person in the world to make the correlation between carbon dioxide and the effects of global warming that we are seeing. The reason why we couldn't find her name till in modern times was because she couldn't even submit her paper because she was a woman. A man had to submit the paper under his name for it to be published. So while you are saying gender roles and gender equality cannot be gotten while we have to, unless gender roles are neglected, it is not entirely correct. We have a lot of, I can give you an example here in our nation, in our state. We have a lot of female doctors that are also mothers. That gender roles are societal. This gender equality that they are pushing for is based on the workforce and the labor force that you are talking about. And you talk about, you don't see in the prison guards. I'll even give you an example of vulcanizer or mechanic. You will never go and see a female mechanic because that is labor intensive work that they are doing. But it doesn't also refute that just because a woman has went to university and studied law, that she should not be afforded the same wages that a male lawyer is afforded. So the gender equality they are pushing for is mostly in modern feminism, the one that is not twisted. In modern feminism, they are actually pushing for wages, wage equality.
Exactly, wage equality, equal pay, but without equal work.
That's not what they are pushing. Well, that is the twisted version of it, and the twisted and the modern feminists that don't even know what they are doing, because modern feminists are not feminists; they are misandrists. They hate men. They think that women are better than men, or we don't need men, or something. We need men and we need women.
So we're talking about our society, the 1960s to 1980s, where they were pushing for equal rights of property and equal pay. That was like the 1960s.
And they are still fighting for equal pay right now.
Equal pay.
Yes. I don't know about Nigeria, but in the Western nation,
they are fighting for equal pay while working less, which doesn't make sense.
What do you mean by while working less? Are you saying that they are productive? Well, in the
do you have any example of a woman working like in today's world, working the same as a man and having different pay presently, or a company that pays women less when they work the same?
I don't say that personally. I know, but if they are still
have you read anything related to that presently in the modern day? Women are being paid less while working the same as men. The same work, the same everything as men.
Yes, that is what they are pushing for.
Modern.
Yes, that is what they are pushing for.
Is there an example?
What they are saying is they are working unless they are working. The thing is the law. You have to first look at the laws. Are you being paid based on the work that you are doing? In those marketing departments where you get paid for the amount of customers you bring, then that one, your pay should be defined based on your work. But if you are paid based on the hours that the job is attributed to, if I'm being paid for 3 hours in the office, even if I come in the office and I don't do any work, but I spend that 3 hours, I am entitled to those wages. While it is not ethical of what I did because I was lazy, law has specified that if a person has worked for 3 hours, he's going to be paid $10.
That's what I'm saying.
If a person has worked for 3 hours, not a man, not a woman, if a person has worked for that. So that is, but right now there is still disparity between men and women. Even in the entertainment industry, they pushed for it these days. The entertainment industry is a very bad example because it's actually based on the amount of people that they bring, their star power and everything.
I can give you the example of one clear example that woman is being paid less by a man while she's doing the same job. Just one clear, simple example.
Well,
Modernly, because like if it was 1960s to 80s, I could agree. Like
I just gave you the example of why if they are not being paid like this, they are still the same. I can't give you the exact same example.
Like, it's an example based on like you just brought it up. It's not like world something that happened.
It's something that is happening. Yes.
Where?
If you do you want me to bring out my phone and research and
no, just like,
a single Google search.
If you know, like if it's something that's happening today, you don't need to say just click. Hundreds of articles have been written. Maybe you've seen one yourself. If it's modern,
but if I see one, I can't say the exact company or something. I can't say like the exact company, but I'm saying it is there, and I have seen articles of women in the West. Yes.
That's enough for this topic. We are going to move on to the next. The next question I have, we are going to be the first one.
Wait, is that about feminism?
Yeah. Still is your next topic. Next question, not next topic.
Has feminism improved or harmed relationships between men and women?
I want to answer first.
No. Like, well,
has it harmed or
has feminism improved or harmed relationships between men and women in society?
The present feminism that we have, there's no question about it. It's harming society. It's harming people. It's harming children. It's harming the family. Everything. Like, they don't want patriarchy anymore. What they're fighting for is totally different.
Yeah, they have this kind of, they have a saying like, fuck the patriarchy.
Yeah. They don't even want. Why do we have many single mothers in the West? They're single. Sometimes they have children. They don't want a man. They prefer to take care of the man by themselves. And what does that lead to the children? They're not stable. Like you need those balanced parents or husband and wife together. But they don't want men. They hate men, and sometimes they even want to become men. Like they're into this LGBT community, right? They're also into LGBT community. Everyone can be a man, everyone can be a woman, everyone can be a dog. You can be a dog, you can be anything you want, which is crazy.
Showing that according to France recently, of a human being acting like a dog.
You know, the funny I've seen it, they're dogs. And what they're doing is like they're trying to teach children in playgroups in kindergarten.
That's the most worst part of all this.
You know, you can hold your exactly impose it on. You can hold it upon yourself. But why go on force other people? And you talk about France people. Feminism of modern day. What do they do like of this modern day of France if they are going to the protest about feminism? The first thing they do is they take off their shirts. They become naked. And they're saying they're fighting for women feminism, and this is the feminism we're looking at. If we're going to talk about the second wave and the first wave, of course, that's ideal. We're not going to argue. Like, they were fighting for a right cause. But this feminism is just so stupid.
It's like, if something has been going on for a long time, you forgot for what reason it has been. People tend to lose the actual goal of something if it tends to draw for the long time.
Yeah, you could say that. You could say that, but like
then the original goal becomes.
As long as you're open-minded, you know what you are saying.
So
that's exactly what you said. The problem with feminism is the modern term for feminism has been twisted, and most modern feminists are misandrist in hiding. So the question that you asked was, has feminism improved or destroyed? Yes. Well, I will tell you that feminism, just like any man-made system, has its advantages and its disadvantages. The first wave, yes, the first wave feminism that gave women their right to vote. The second wave feminism that gave men their right to women. So thank you, women their right to own property. A lot of, even the modern times feminism that is fighting female feticide right now in conservative cultures. In places, there was one study, let me check. I think it's in 2019 or in 2019, Al Jazeera made a shocking discovery that in India, in 132 villages, in 3 months, not a single female child was born. Statistically, that is
which year?
In 2019. In 2019, Al Jazeera made that study.
What was the reason for it?
Yeah, it was unnatural. It is unnatural. 132 villages, 200 within the ranges of 200 births. Not a single female infant.
Was it a medical issue or a natural issue?
It was unnatural. What they are saying,
natural.
They are reported that it happened naturally. That in all those 200 births, not a single female child was born. So they are still fighting. The problem is, while the modern day feminists that know what feminism stands for, which is women rights activists, they want to fight for a female child to be born and to be let to be survived. In 2019, you are telling me 132 villages, 200 but not a single female child. Is that the only other option? If it is going to have to be divine judgment or something, that God is trying to wipe them out, and then by they are not even allowed.
They're not allowed
to be born. They are being aborted. It is seen as, like, I think they call it honor killing or something. I couldn't even make a deep research on it because it sounded so horrific to me. So we still have conservative cultures that have women as second-class citizens. I'm not going to talk about the Indian caste system because that is in itself is another situation. The problem with feminism is, while it has its advantages, currently in its current iteration, its disadvantages are outweighing its advantages. And your choice about that transgender something, that one is an LGBTQ
it is, but
association. Yes, they are trying to garner themselves. The problem with LGBTQ is they are trying to push themselves into anything and everything that they can. They are the reason why we got them. The problem is they are the reason why we got DEI. And DEI, when you look at it objectively, it is a very good thing. But then you see the way they are implementing it, and you realize they are bringing this person solely because he checks a box, not because he is something that you are not, because he is not, because he's professional and he has studied for it. That they are saying you must have a black woman, so they just get a black woman and bring her into the workplace, regardless of her CV, regardless of her professionality, and that is the problem that we are getting.
Yeah. So, and one thing I would say, like, we're focusing on the Western feminism.
No, we are not focusing on the Western feminism. That's why I give you the example about India. I'm giving you an example about, because the Western feminism is a problem. But when you look at the feminism,
do you have any pros?
Does it have any pros?
That's what he was asking.
The first wave and the second wave was global.
So, are you in support of the modern day feminism?
Well, not the one that has been twisted. The one that is still trying to follow.
Not one that has been twisted. Are you talking about the modern one or which
one? Well, the modern one is the current iteration that we are seeing. We have the waves of the feminism that has started. The one that brought about women's rights, women's women's ability to own properties. That was then. Even in modern feminism, they are still fighting. While in the West, you can say women are attributed with more leeway than they are in the East and even here in Africa, where we have conservative cultures. In cultures that still condone, feminism is still fighting female genital mutilation. It is still fighting child marriages. Something that is happening in the East, something that is even that's still happening in the West, and some conservative cultures there. Child marriages is very apparent there. Apparent. I won't say rampant like it is here in Africa and here in this, because you can see the effect of child marriage on a woman. We can see it. We can see the effect. Every single person here has witnessed a woman that has I forgot the name, like something like, I think it's a bladder condition that they get after they have given birth, because their cervix have not developed well enough to be able to give birth, and they did, and that will cause them to have, oh my God, I forgot the name of the disease, but it actually affects their bladder, and they will no longer be able to hold peace. That's why you'll be seeing them walking with like a cannula or with like something like that attached, where you will be seeing their piece and everything. That is not common. Do you know the problem is they are more likely to be affected by it if they are married.
Because like what I know is like as long as they reach the age of maturity,
that's why I said child marriages. Child is there because they have child marriages before they haven't reached adulthood yet, and they are subjected to a very, very risky endeavor. Pregnancy is a very scary.
Like any of us has any disagreement on other than Western feminism rights that
well,
we have to talk about like because it came from the West and the modern day feminism.
It didn't actually come from the West. So I will actually talk about that even in the 1970s when you're talking about even early 18th centuries. In the 1900s, there was a queen mother in Ghana. Her son ran away when the British came. She was the one that rallied women to go and fight against the British. They lost.
1900.
Yes, in 1900. No, after the suffrage, but that's in the West. Here we weren't even voting. We didn't even have a system of government by then. No, you're talking about in the West. I'm talking about like the West did not bring feminism to us. We still had women that were fighting. The thing is,
we're talking about the movement.
The movement.
We're talking about feminism, like you are
talking about how
feminism,
how child marriage.
It didn't come out from the West.
Yes, so are you trying to like separate it into West?
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to lay out the history. Where did it start from? It started from the West in the 19th century. Where did it start from?
Feminism.
The movement, not the what.
No, not like the.
Yeah, of course. I'm not talking about the movement. I'm talking about the West. All right, the West. So that's why when we're going to talk about feminism, we have to refer it back to the West because that's the history. That's where feminism movement.
Yeah,
that's where it comes from.
I think since it's not termed as the feminist movement, we are going to take like feminism.
We're going to take it, but we have to. If we're talking about it to date it backwards, it has to stop in Western. But we have to.
Because I'm going to give an example.
Because like the second.
Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the current chief of World Trade Organization, she's the first African and the first female to head the investment. If you look at her
World Trade Organization,
you can see she was Minister of Finance. She worked from I think she was working with the World Bank or even with the World Trade Organization before she was brought back here to Nigeria to become the Minister of Finance. If you see her CV, how she actually talked about this modern feminism, she was telling them, you are saying that men are keeping you down. The patriarchy is, pushing down on your opportunities and everything. Look where I reached because I worked hard. I rose above my male peers.
And they paid her. They paid her equally.
See where she has reached.
Exactly. So it's not a question about. It's not a question about
what feminism has achieved, both in the West and in African culture. Because
the first and second wave, right?
Not the first and second wave. I don't care about the waves.
Okay, I'm talking about the waves.
Is the feminism. Because even
but what you're talking about, the woman that you're talking about, was there a movement that led her to be in the position she is?
Of course.
Which movement was that?
I don't know the name of the movement, but in the beginning, I don't think female children were allowed to study education.
But there has to be a movement that triggered that.
Probably.
So that's why we have to go back to the movement.
There is actually an example of a protest that was led by the mother of Fela Kuti, that famous singer. Yeah, his mother led protest in the 1940s, unfair taxation on women. Even before we got independence.
Are women even taxed before?
I don't know, but apparently most likely yes, if not they would have not been a protest. Fun fact, she was the first woman to drive a car in Africa. Well, fun fact, was a woman that drove the first car in the world.
Well, what I would say is like I'm in total agreement of the first wave, of the suffrage and freedom of speech and everything. The second wave, yeah, right over. And the second wave, which they were granted freedom to own properties and stuff, I'm in agreement. But it's when it comes down to the third wave and till date that I have a problem with. The problem I have with like the third wave is like they wanted the right to abortion, and that's to me is a huge problem. They wanted to, quote unquote, they wanted the right to for mother to kill their own children. That's what they wanted, and I think they got that right, and they also got the birth control pills, which I have a different opinion on birth control pills. But the abortion right, I'm in totally disagreement with it because they want to be allowed to commit murder, to involve in immoral activities. Because as long as you tell them that they can kill the baby or they can abort the baby, they'll be able to have illegal sexual activities. Immorality will be widespread and disease will be widespread. So I'm in total disagreement with that. What do you think about that?
Well,
about abortion?
About abortion, I don't totally disagree with them having the rights for abortion.
Why not?
Because there are circumstances, unforeseen circumstances that will warrant that abortion. Because even in Nigeria, abortion is illegal unless the pregnancy is detrimental to the woman's health, to the woman's health that might lead to her death. So I think abortion, they should have the right to abortion based on maybe the duration. The first trimester, if you check, a child is not even called a fetus. It is called an embryo. It is not a fully developed baby. I don't think you can even classify it as a living being. Though scientific studies.
It varies.
Some scientific
varies.
studies will vary. So a child, I think, born out of a child that is conceived during assault or even unwanted pregnancies that will be aborted within the first trimester, I think they should have the right for that. And depending on if the child is going to result in a fatal health condition
For the mother.
Of course, that's
let them abort it even above the first trimester. So the thing is, like they are saying illegal sex, you have to say immoral. Because I think the only illegal sex
immorality.
The only illegal sexual, what do you call it?
Immorality.
Illegal fighters. Say fighters. Illegal fighters is prostitution. Which that on its own.
But it depends on the society.
Because
It depends on the society.
I think
Even Japan, it's legal.
Without protection, then that child should be given back and be solely given to him. Because where will you sleep? Where will you go to commercial? Where you go to a commercial place and drop your private property? I think the reason why they are fighting for abortion is because the men were not forced to take what do you call it?
Responsibility of a child.
For a child. For example, though I do want to give an example where it is a controversial thing. Even myself, right now, I don't know who I will support, though I give the woman more for it. There's one famous, I think it was a basketball player or something, got a woman pregnant.
I think
and he told
those
her,
are
since
cases.
she told him that she is not pregnant, that she is pregnant, he told her he doesn't want anything to do with the child, she should abort it. He was willing to pay her to abort that child in the beginning. She said no, because the American system is going to force him.
It's going to be on our side.
No, but it's not going to force him to be present for that child.
Yes.
So she gave birth to the baby, to the daughter.
You'll give like
He
half
gave
account.
18 years. No, he gave the 18 years. He told them to calculate the 18 years worth of child support that he's going to pay. And he paid for it. And now we have a confirmed fatherless daughter that is going to grow up without a father.
If you ask me about that, I would say I see the both faults of the woman and the man, because he's also at fault. He has to take.
On to the next part of the podcast. So we are going to now be talking about the economy and who's to be blamed for the economy.
Okay.
I think you won that last argument.
It was not. This is not an argument.
Okay.
Discussion.
It's a debate. A discussion. Thank you.
Okay. So the first question I have is, when we say the economy is bad, who are we really pointing finger at? The government, foreign influence, or ourselves? We should start.
Who do you want me to blame? Who is to blame for the economy?
Yeah. When we say the economy is bad,
Yes.
are we talking about the government, foreign influence, or ourselves? Who takes the blame?
That is a very good question. So I think we have to put it in a percentage, like in a pie chart, where it's a cycle, 100%.
But the higher the percentage,
exactly. Then we allocate the blame for each sector.
Okay.
I will give the government 70%
Of the economy's failure.
Yes.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Why do you say so?
Because we are in
No, let him list the people then.
Nigerian
System.
We have very bad governance. In bad governance, we also have a very high cost of governance. We have like policy discontinuation. Dear God, policy discontinuation in Nigeria. Lack of maintenance. That's the major problem that we have in Nigeria. Lack of maintenance, lack of industrialization.